Only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times you admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we diving to the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, go. Nigga can live in the shine, but then I'm not talking, baby, they got so. Put the puts in your bone. No punctuation lie. Good punctuation low. We better hit that. Yo, we hit that, hit that. Better than what he rebels. Hey, I break down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. This is yeah, I break down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie, getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
Well, welcome back in, everybody, to LTL True Crime. We are live here on this hump day. It is hump day, and it is February 21st, 2024. I'm going to welcome everybody back in to the live show. I feel like I've been away for a little while. I've been covering some other local news in the area. I have a huge passion right now as what's going on in the Brockton High School. If you haven't gone back and watched those 2 streams, I urge everybody to go back, because not only is this happening in Brockton, I'm sure it's happening in your community as well. And it's very important streams. And I'm going to continue covering that case and peeling back the layers, what we do here on LTL. So we have a huge week ahead of us. I kind of carry Monday into that. You know, Monday is part of the week. I know that it might not seem that way or logistically seem that way on a calendar, but you know, we have a huge week coming up. In 2 days, Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy, will be free and out of jail finally on these trumped up BS charges, and he will be back live on Saturday. So I'm very curious, and I hope he goes on a friggin' ripper that night and just does this incredible, like, 5 or 6 hour live stream. I think it's going to be awesome. And I'm totally looking forward to seeing what he has to say and see, you know, what he's been thinking about over the last 60 days. Over the last 60 days. I was just over on the stream watching Paul, Dana, and Tracy, and they had an amazing stream over there. They did a lot of court updates. They were talking to one of the, I believe her name was Colleen? I think it was Colleen. They had Colleen on that works in part of the standouts. And if you haven't checked out their channel, check out Resistance to Silence. It's just a very informative local stream here in the Massachusetts area that is part of the Free Karen Read movement. And they're really, one of the ones at the top. They really know, and they're very informative as to what's going on. And, I want to thank all of their efforts, their support. And they're always out there. They're always out there as much as they can be in support of Karen and Turtle Boy. So, again, I wanted to just support them, give them their space. I had planned to go at 8 p.m. and I wanted to make sure that I gave them their space before I came live. So we're here. We have a lot to go through. I'll be honest with you, I was out last night. I didn't watch the select board meeting. I wanted to wait and do that organically with you. I heard the last 45 minutes was insane. I plan to do that. I want to go back and review Vinnie Politan's closing arguments from the other night. We just had documents that dropped today. Olivia was tweeting. I mean, it's such a busy day. Incredibly busy day. So here we go from the Sun Chronicle. This was on February 15th. Feds could release information soon in the case, lawyer says. Well, we're waiting. We're waiting for that info. When is the tick tick boom going to happen? When is the tick tick boom going to happen? We'll read a little bit of this here, and I'm sure that everybody's familiar with this. Mansfield federal prosecutors looking into Karen Read's murder case may be releasing information to lawyers for both sides within the matter of days, a lawyer said for Read on Thursday. David Yannetti, a Boston lawyer representing Read, made a disclosure at a hearing in the Dedham Superior Court when asked by Judge Auntie Bev for the status of the case. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Boston notified both sides by email Wednesday night. Yannetti said, adding that the federal prosecution were waiting for the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office to complete a protective order for material. So we had that. We had that drop. This today from the Boston Globe. Boston Globe. Lawyers for Karen Read have made sensationalism claims of police cover-up, prosecutors say. This is at 11:17 a.m. today. Prosecutors in the murder case against Karen Read, who was accused of backing her SUV and her boyfriend and leaving him for dead in a blizzard in Canton in 2022, said that the recent court documents that her lawyers have made sensationalism claims over a police cover-up. In the filing in Norfolk Superior Court, prosecutors argued against defense motions for calling a judge to dismiss the indictment against Read to disqualify District Attorney Michael W. Morrissey's office for prosecuting the case. What began with Read's lawyer maintaining shortly after her arrest that she lacked criminal intent in the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe has morphed into a national conspiracy theory premised upon the defendant's variety of flawed, unfounded, and sensationalism claims, prosecutor wrote Friday. The filing in the high-profile case came a day after prosecutors and defense lawyers had argued the motions for Auntie Bev. I always have to say it that way. I don't know. It just feels right to say it that way. I was yet to rule on them. Read, 43 of Mansfield, has pleaded not guilty to the charge of second-degree murder, manslaughter, while operating under the influence and leaving the scene of an accident caused personal injury or death. She remains free on bail before trial, which is slated to begin on March 12th. Prosecutors allege that Read backed her SUV into O'Keefe during a pre-dawn hours of January 29, 2022, outside a Canton home after a night of heavy drinking. She returned to the scene around 6 a.m. with two other women who found O'Keefe's body in the snow and alleged that at one point, I hit him, according to prosecutors. But Read's lawyer have maintained that she is innocent victim of a sprawling law enforcement cover-up. They asserted that O'Keefe entered the Canton home, which was owned by another Boston police officer that never came out of the house. I mean, that should be in the article. We're missing a lot of key details here that never came out of the house, that no one ever came out to check on the scene as the police showed up. The evidence doesn't support anything that this article is saying, but we don't get that in the newspaper. We don't get that in the media. That's why you all come here for our straight fact driven about this case, where he was beaten, also attacked by a German Shepherd before his body was planted outside the residence. True. On Friday, however, prosecutors cited evidence submitted to a veterinary forensic laboratory that was concluded that there was no canine DNA associated with the swabs taken from O'Keefe's clothing in the area of his injuries. That finding tracked with a dramatic moment in Thursday's hearing when Adibeth asked defense attorney David Yannetti if the court should accept canine testing to be part of the case. Yannetti replied no, without elaborating, drawing murmur from quite gasps from the speculators in the packed courtroom. In the court filing, prosecutors touched upon another key evidence. Records of the Google searches on the phone belonged to witnesses Jennifer McCabe. Computer forensics experts for Reed's defense have stated that the Google searches was performed by McCabe's phone at 2:27 a.m. That did happen on January 29th for Haas Long to die in cold. It happened. It's a factual thing. It happened. Prosecutors counted that the specialist from the company, Cellbrite, indicated not even just Cellbrite, five other extractions indicated that the defense had misrepresented the data and that the search in question and the second one were in fact conducted on the phone at 2:27, 6:23 a.m. and 6:24 a.m. when Reed, McCabe, and another woman were outside the Canton home after finding O'Keefe's body. Contrary to the defendant's representation, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office has no bias or prejudice towards the defendant or personal stake in the outcome of this prosecution, prosecutors wrote on Friday. Sure. As in many criminal prosecutions, the Norfolk District Attorney's Office is motioned by what evidence has shown in the interest and truth of justice. As a request for comment was sent to Reed's lawyer on Wednesday morning, court filings indicated that federal prosecutors in Massachusetts have convened a separate grand jury to review the state law enforcement investigation of O'Keefe's death. Acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy, come on, Josh, where are you? Office hasn't commented publicly on the investigation, and his office generally doesn't confirm or deny the existence of ongoing probes. It appears the defendant is the sole source of the information of the federal investigation surrounding the case, as the U.S. Attorney's Office never requested a police report, photographs, sworn grand jury testimony, witness list, third party recording, or piece of evidence from the Norfolk District Attorney's Office or investigators from the Massachusetts State Police, Morrissey's office wrote on Friday. The next hearing in Reed's case, which is slated for February 26th, which will happen, 2 p.m. for Karen Reed, 9 a.m. for Aiden. Among Reed's stanchious champions is Aiden Carney, a controversial blogger, journalist, known as Turtle Boy, who's written extensively about the case, including information about the federal grand jury probe, which prosecutors allege has come from Reed's lawyers. Carney is charged separately with intimidating witnesses, which is bullshit, in the Reed case in assaulting a former girlfriend, which is bullshit, which he pled not guilty to all the charges. On April 23rd, Reed, through her intermittently, sent a message to Carney that read, "Not public. The feds have been involved longer than anyone is likely guessing," prosecutors wrote. 5 days later, Reed expressed frustration to ask why Mr. Carney is not referencing the federal investigation in more of his postings and offering additional information, emphasizing that the U.S. Attorney's Office, that they don't shoot and miss. They have the case and way more evidence than they do. That was from the Globe today. So, my friends, it's going to be a very, very interesting day on Monday. It's going to be a very interesting day on Friday. Like I said, Aiden's return has the live stream scheduled for that Saturday night. And, as we know, and through some conversations of people that I've been close with, he is excited to get out. He cannot wait to spend time with his kids, deservedly so. He's been away from them for 60 days. And I can't wait for the live stream on Saturday. I think he's going to get over 10,000 people watching, at least 10,000 people watching. Excuse me. And I'm sure he's going to have a hell of a lot to say. So again, we had some documents drop today, and what I want to do is just in short form here is bring up a post by Olivia on X. She did a great job on this, and I want to just highlight this. And I'm sure that you all have seen the documents, read through them. I'll pull them up a little bit here, and we'll read through some of it. But I want to go through this, and I think this was a great tweet from Olivia. I retweeted it, and it says, well, that just about wraps it up for good. The defendant's counsel has, and this is on the filing today, the defense motion that they filed today. The defense's counsel has asserted in the court filings, in the court arguments, based on evidence both developed by the defendant and disclosed by the Commonwealth in discovery, including analysis of John O'Keefe's phone and of a phone of a civilian witness also present inside 34 Fairview Road, that John O'Keefe had entered 34 Fairview Road residence, that he was attacked inside the residence by a person or persons also present there, that persons also presented in the residence that were aware of John O'Keefe had sustained injuries inside the home and participated in a cover-up of what happened, and that other law enforcement officers, including a Massachusetts State Police trooper, that participated in furthering the cover-up of what happened to John O'Keefe inside 34 Fairview, including by planting incriminating evidence falsely implicating the defendant and of John O'Keefe's death. John O'Keefe was inside the house. Then she says, any questions? And that was from the court filing today. I think she also had another update here, and I want to see this. This was good. I just saw this a couple of minutes ago. Remember that time, WCVB News, where 34 Fairview home owner Brian Albert's defense attorney, Greg Henning, is also employed as a legal analysis peddling D.A. Morrissey's office false narrative ostensibly by the evidence or info found in the public court documents that the Karen Reed prosecution held. Quote, new electronic vehicle data, and, quote, the Commonwealth stated that it has evidence that establishes that the defendant, while intoxicated in a snowstorm, operating her motor vehicle in reverse for a period of time before striking the victim at a high rate of speed. Well, as it turns out, that was false. The prosecution does not and has never had such vehicle data. Funny, they've now deleted that article. The vehicle's event data recorder, EDR, showed no events, impacts, or accidents like a vehicle pedestrian collision. Since there was no deployment, nor any deployment events, accidents recorded, and the EDR black box, which you probably hear that most likely in planes. We usually hear that a lot. They're going to, a plane crashes into the mountains, the sea, on land. They got to get the black box that controls all the data. We got to see the data. Would not show any of the information referenced to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office in its filing. The source cited by the spokesman, David, I think it's Traub, the DA Michael Morrissey's office, proof of this claim. Again, I repeat, there are no events recorded in the defendant's EDR black box because Karen Reed did not operate her vehicle in reverse, striking and killing John O'Keefe at a high rate of speed. Game over. John O'Keefe went inside the house. Karen Reed did not hit John O'Keefe with her vehicle. Karen Reed did not Google Hossflang to die in cold at 2:27. An individual who was inside the house, Jen McCabe's iPhone, did. John O'Keefe was later found out dying in the cold at 6:03 a.m. And remember, and I want to add this in, what did Karen say on those steps? I had his blood all over me. If you were sitting in the cold for that many hours and found at 6:03 a.m., found at 6:03 a.m., how could your blood get all over someone? Your blood would have froze by then. There would be no dripping blood. So that tells me that John was not lying outside that long. Couldn't have been. Scientifically could not have been. Jen McCabe's iPhone was affirmatively scrubbed and incriminating evidence, including communications from around the time John O'Keefe's murder was established and confirmed by at least 5 forensic tools like Cellbrite, Karen Reed's phone was scrubbed of nothing. And I just want to bring this up. Mama Montana, thank you so much for becoming a new member. I appreciate that. John O'Keefe's iPhone Apple Health data, Apple movement data shows him climbing stairs inside the house upon his arrival at 34 Fairview. Another point, a civilian witness and their cell phone data who was represented inside 34 Fairview confirms that John O'Keefe, quote, that John O'Keefe had entered the 34 Fairview residence, that he was attacked inside the residence by a person or persons also presented there, that persons also presented in the residence were aware that John O'Keefe had sustained injuries inside the home and participated in a cover-up of what happened. The investigators on the scene in the DA's office prosecuting Karen Reed have long been under and still are currently under a federal investigation. The feds don't investigate small-time murders. They do, however, investigate public corruption. The Boston police officer's home at 34 Fairview, Brian Albert, and his brother, Chris Albert, both present that night, along with the McCabe's, are lifelong family friends with the state police led by investigators, with the lead investigator, Michael Proctor. You know, it's funny. I remembered something about 34 Fairview, and I found this to be very interesting. And I went back and looked at some things when I was down there a couple of weeks ago. When I drove by the house, and I remember looking, and I never really noticed this before because I went down there at night, and I never noticed it before. And every time I've been down there before was during the day. And I remember looking in the yard, and it is a lot smaller than I thought because it kind of reboggled my brain about that. But I remember looking at night and looking down to the basement. And down there on that basement level, there's a little small window, almost at eye view. And I kept saying to myself, I wonder if they were all just sitting down in that basement looking out that window when all the police were out there, when all the ambulance was out there, and all that action was going on, and just looking out that window because it's right at ground level, and just thinking to themselves, don't go outside, you know, figure this out. Let's cover this up. We'll fix this. You know, just the whole time that scenario running through their head, looking out that small little window on the ground level in that basement. And all those thoughts went by my head. And I said, it had to have been the vantage point where it was just, you know, cloaked in darkness. The lights could have been off, and you're just looking out that tiny little window down in the basement. It's like a little sliver window like that. It's small. So we go on. The state police investigators, these witnesses and prosecution have repeatedly denied the existence of this conflict. The Commonwealth has deliberately withheld both basic discovery and exculpatory evidence from the defense for over 2 years, despite Rule 14 and Brady obligations. Need say more. And she took some clippings from the motion today. So great. I'm going to retweet this out. Olivia, you do an amazing job over on the Twitter. I still call it Twitter. Everybody still calls it Twitter. And really, I don't really think any need to go through the motion tonight. But I would say it really picks up on page 22 if you're going to read through it. And then the prosecution's response is probably like the last few pages, which gets really interesting. Also, I want to bring up some attention to this. Rita Lombardi running for select board. And I wanted to point out and highlight Brian Hale Photography. Looks like he's going to do all of Rita's photos for her campaign. She's looking beautiful in red there. And I'm excited to once, you know, Rita gets everything kind of squared up on her campaign. She said that she'd love to come on and talk about it. And I said, absolutely, I want to have you on here. So if you haven't already, and I think it's in the Canton, it's in the Canton group. I'm sorry, it's in the John O'Keefe group, so you can check this out. But that's great. And Brian's always out there. He does amazing photography work. He got those great photos of Karen last time outside at her last hearing. So a really great look, and we'll have. Oh, okay, yeah, Olivia, thank you. I gotta have you on sometime. I gotta have you on sometime. She said, yeah, it was actually from the Commonwealth supposed opposition in my tweet. Yeah, everything was crazy today. We got different times. We had documents that dumped. Everybody was confused. Everybody's running around. Like Paul was saying on the stream, he said, I was running around and changing times for like 3 hours. I had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. And hopefully it's all sorted. And they said that if you need any, if there's any change, they'll make sure that they bring up a stream and talk about it. So, and that's such a great picture of Rita. And we're going to have Rita over here when she gets things squared up, have her talk about her campaign and talk about, why she's running for select board. I think we obviously know why, but I want to give her a spotlight and a platform to do that. So we talked about that at Karen's previous hearing, and hopefully we can make that happen. So I wanted to talk about, before we go into Vinnie Politan's closing arguments, and then we're going to play a little bit of the last night's select board meeting, because to be honest with you, I didn't have a time to fully watch it. I watched some of it today, but I like to do things organically when I do watch that. But what I wanted to talk about is just kind of reiterating some of the things that Paul, Tracy, and Dana were talking about. Look at, Friday and Monday are going to be very, very important days in court. I think probably some of the most important days that are coming up. And the most important thing that we have to remember, and I totally back what they were saying, is etiquette, is outside etiquette. Now, everybody knows that Karen's birthday is on Monday, and it's just not, like they were saying, it's not a time for gifts. It's not a time for anything like that. Karen is there. I'll take from, I think it was Paul that said it. Karen's there fighting for her life. This is very important. So all of that stuff, I think, can wait for another time. They're trying to get together a virtual birthday card. And if you go over and watch their stream, they have their email address in there, and you can drop a little 10-second clip, send it to their email address if you want to participate in the virtual card and send Karen a happy birthday. They're looking for some more submissions. So go over there and please submit a video, and they're looking to get that video a little bit longer. Also, it's etiquette. There's going to be a lot of media there on Monday. Believe me, there's going to be a lot of media. You have Aiden in court, and you have Karen on court on both days. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be there on Friday, but I am going to be there on Monday. It's going to be a lot of media there. I'm sure Court TV is going to be there. I'm sure all the local media is going to be there. And they're just looking for an excuse. They're just looking for an excuse to continue to paint this movement in a bad light, the way that it's been portrayed in the media. And it's not a time for that. It's a time to put yourself in check. It's a time to make sure that you do your checks and balances around you. Again, we can only say these things. I can't tell and make people do what they're going to do. People are their own individual adults, or, and they will make their own decisions. But, as Aiden was saying in his last article, it's important. The world is watching. This is in front of Karen's family, in front of her attorneys. So, the best thing to do is just keep yourself in check. And if you can't do that, then we just suggest stay home. Stay home. Watch the hearings from the live streams. There's tons of people live streaming them. Keep yourself in control, and you can scream at your screen all you want. The other thing that I want to bring up that I don't think that's been brought up a lot, and I've noticed this in the last couple of streams, couple of hearings that I've been to, a lot of people have been trying to approach Karen, and I think that's really bad etiquette. One, it doesn't look good, and two, she doesn't know you, and she doesn't know where you're coming from. And people, unfortunately, have been attacked outside court houses before, going into court or leaving court. And when you're running up and sneaking up on someone that's in a highly publicized situation, someone that's high profile, and you're running and doing that, it's not good, because that can scare the shit out of someone. And They don't know if they're going to get attacked or punched in the face or spit on or yelled at. It's just not cool. And I've seen some of that in the last hearings that I've been to, and just not cool. We'll all have a time to celebrate and do those things. But again, you don't want to approach people like that. You don't want to run up on people. You want to watch what you're saying, watch what you're doing. Again, the world is watching. The world is watching. So again, I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that Tracy, Paul, and Dana were saying on their stream. Again, very, very informative stream. And what I'll do here is I'll drop the link to that if you weren't over there watching and you want to get involved with the virtual birthday card. Hang on one second. I will drop the link to their previous stream, and all their details are in that stream. So we'll do that. That's there. And again, I at the last hearing made some comments to some trolls. Fortunately, it was not around Karen and her family and stuff like that. And I had apologized for what I have done. And I'm going to make sure that next time going forward, I will keep my feelings and emotions in check. I know sometimes it's very hard to do that. We get very, very invested in this. We're very emotional. There's a lot going on. There's people all around you. And it can get a little crazy sometimes. It can get a little crazy. And when you're fighting for someone and fighting for what is right for someone, knowing that they are factually innocent, that shit can get to you sometime. But, I'm an adult. I need to keep myself in check, ignore the trolls, because that's what they want to do. They want to just stir you up, get an emotion for a reaction so they can get a video or photo or whatever and post it on their social media and say, hey, look at this guy or this girl here. They're part of the evilness that's going on outside, the paid protesters and all that shit. So, anyway, all right, let's go to the closing argument segment. Vinnie Politan, we'll go through a little bit of this and see what Vinnie had to say a couple days ago. And let's see.
Politan, thank you so much for joining us here on Closing Arguments. And, Court TV, we cover big trials all around the country. And sometimes the fact patterns might be similar to another case. Oh, yeah, this one reminds me of that other one. Or, oh, yeah, remember that other case when this happened? Well, Karen Reed up in Massachusetts is unlike any case we've ever covered before. This is a woman who was in a relationship. Her boyfriend was a Boston police officer. They go bar hopping one night, and it's a snowy night, cold night in Massachusetts. The following morning, he's found dead on the front yard of some friends, and she's been accused of murdering him. Okay, and all right, well, I didn't do it. Well, she's not just saying she didn't do it. What she's saying is, I didn't do it. It was the people in the house that did it, and they're police officers, and they covered the whole thing up. So she's not only saying I didn't do it, she's saying we know who did it, and they covered it up, and they're framing me. And now what's happened in this community of Canton, Massachusetts, Norfolk County, is that the community's divided, and there's this huge outpouring of support for this accused murderer, Karen Reed. It's unreal. It's unlike any case that is on our docket here on Court TV, and unlike any case I've seen in decades. Julie Janae has a closer look tonight.
Who killed John?
Yeah, that's another thing too. I mean, if you plan on going in the courtroom, proper court attire. Again, I can't make anybody dress the way they want to dress. I mean, people have the right to dress any way they wish. I went out, I bought a new suit, so I'm ready for court, and I plan on being there for an extra long day that day. So Monday's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting on Monday.
O'Keefe,
and I'll give you
46-year-old,
to what I think about. I'm just going to pop here because we know a lot of the background. I just want to get into trial day right here. This is what I want to get to this segment.
You don't see members of the public coming out before the trial even starts and protesting in favor of and supporting an accused cop killer. That just doesn't happen. I've never seen it before. But it's real and it's legit, these folks. It's not like they're making up what they believe here. And you know how I know that? It's like the middle of the winter. It's a pre-trial hearing. It's not even the trial. And again today, they're showing up. Unbelievable. We have some more images here, courtesy of our, thanks to Nick Rocco for
Hey, it's my photo.
But there they are. It doesnnit matter how cold it is. They've been there.
Thing about that photo, we're all standing there. We're all waiting to go into court. And I thought it was such a great time to take a photo. So I said, everybody, if you were all there and you took part of the photo, it was funny. I go, everybody look up. So everybody goes like this. They look up to the sky. Because they didn't see that I had my camera out. I was trying to take a picture. So it was actually kind of funny. Had to be
after
there.
time, hearing after hearing, supporting an accused cop killer, right? Her boyfriend was a Boston police officer. But again, they believe, the protesters, as is Karen Rita and her attorneys, that she's being set up here by the police. So they're back in court today.
Right to the right-hand side of me.
Trial is coming up March 12th. You see it right down there. But it looks like the one thing both sides may agree on is that they want this thing delayed. Take a listen.
Judge, this is Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, 22117. Can I have counsel identify themselves, starting with the Commonwealth?
Adam Lally for the Commonwealth. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lally.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Laura McLaughlin for the Commonwealth.
Good afternoon, Ms. McLaughlin.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Unetti for Karen Reed, who is present with me at counsel table. My co-counsel are participating by Zoom.
All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Unetti. Good afternoon, Ms. Reed. I don't see co-counsel, but I can't see anybody other than the panel.
Judge. And if we needed to speak to them, I've already spoken to Mr. Unetti. I can.
All right. So good afternoon, Mr. Jackson. Good afternoon, Ms. Little. All right. So I'm in receipt of the joint motion to continue the motion hearing date, cancel the final pretrial conference date, and convert the trial date to a motion hearing date. So I just want to start off with, I think it's premature to continue the trial date today. So I'm not going to do that. Let's talk about, though, what might throw off our timeline. So I want to go through each one of these things. The first one, I know that you're concerned about getting information from the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Unfortunately, I tried to get off for Friday. I can't. I've been taking way too much time off. And the thing is, I've been taking time off and hearings have been canceled. So I only have so much time and I only have so much wiggle room with my boss. So unfortunately, I will not be there on Friday, but I will be there on Monday. I'll make sure I am there on Monday. It's just the way that things fell and my days off, and it just, I can't be at every hearing. I try to be, but I can't. And I really want to be there on Friday, but I can't. There's just no way I can get out of work. So I'm in sales.
Appreciate that you put right in your motion that no timeline was explicitly given for the completion of the process and therefore the production of information. But the U.S. Attorney was cognizant of the trial date scheduled for the case at bar and desired to provide enough lead time for the parties to assimilate the new information, leading counsel to believe that the information would be forthcoming in early February. What do you want to say about that, Mr. Unetti? What do we have? What's new?
So we actually have an update, Your Honor. At 8:28 p.m. last night, the parties received an email from the U.S. Attorney's Office.
I love all the Wayne comments.
Regarding the procedure going forward.
Game on.
First, this is a quote. First, as soon as we hear back from the DA's office regarding the latest edits to the protective order, we will file our motion in federal court.
I'm not quite making enough to quit my day job yet on YouTube. It's funny. Melanie talks about this stuff. She goes, the 5 cents that I make for this video, do you think it's worth she says the 5 cents is worth the headache and all that stuff. But you know what? It's a passion. We love doing this. We love talking about this stuff. And, you know, I love being here with all of you. It's a good time. And the thing that's great is we're a collective community that care about the same thing. And that's an amazing thing, because you don't really get a lot of people that can get, right now I'm looking up 858 people that care, that care in the local area about this. And that's pretty amazing, if I was to stick 800 people in a room, that's a lot of people. It's a small auditorium, and that's pretty cool that we can all get together like this and talk about this and discuss it and support, because the biggest thing is support. That's the biggest thing here.
We will then be in a position to make our disclosures immediately upon, number one, the federal judge's endorsement of the protective order, and number two, execution by the parties of the acknowledgement form on the protective order. Second, we expect that this could happen as soon as tomorrow. Now, this is an email that we're receiving last night.
Right, you said that.
But he said in parentheses, again, assuming a quick turnaround of the protective order and acknowledgement forms on your part, speaking to the parties. In any event, and barring something unforeseen, we would characterize the disclosures as happening within a matter of days.
Okay, great. Mr. Lally, I know you're on trial, but have you been able to hold up your end of this yet, or when will you be able to?
I anticipate being able to respond in regard to there was some language as far as the protective order that the Commonwealth was concerned about, given its obligations for public records requests, as well as some issues in regard to.
I want to reach out to Tracy and Dana and Paul and see if we can get a standout in my town. I would love to do that. So I'd love to coordinate that. I'm going to reach out to them and see if we can get a little standout here where I live. And I think that would be super badass, because I right in my little center, there's a lot of traffic that goes through there. And I think, we can get something good really going there. And it'd be great if we can get a bunch of people to show up.
When the finality of the proceedings may be defined. But I think those are easily resolvable issues. So I anticipate we should be able to hopefully do that this afternoon.
Okay. All right, let's have it done no later than tomorrow afternoon.
Sure.
Okay, couple takeaways here. Number one, it really looks like this judge wants to march forward with the March 12th trial date, right? Even though both sides are saying, hey, can we delay this, judge? No, that's premature. And what they're all talking about is an investigation of the investigators in this case. Like I said, the defense is saying this was a police cover-up and frame job, right? The U.S. attorney, the feds have come in and...
Well, Carol, here's the thing. I'm going to let you know right now. This is a live show. I've said this 1,000 times on the 900 plus videos that I've done here on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to explain it to you. She might be new here tonight. For the 900th time, I'm going to explain this. It's a live show. We interact with the audience. We talk. We discuss. We take our time. And on YouTube, when you're playing someone's video, you have to pause it. Give commentary, because that's called fair use. So, sorry. This might not be the live show for you. If it bothers you, I would just say, don't watch. I'll do a Biden. Don't watch. Don't watch. Holly knew. Holly knew. Yeah. Anyway, let's resume.
Are investigating the investigators, and the folks leading that investigation say they're going to reveal some of the results of their investigation to the prosecutor and the defense attorney in Karen Reed's case. Are you following that? So the people who investigated Karen Reed and charged her are being investigated by the Fed.
Good point. Lauren, I forgot about that. The name of my channel is Let's Talk Live. So we discuss, we talk live. I totally forgot about that. And I might actually be dropping the true crime soon. I think it's just going to become LTL. It's going to be a lot to change all my social media stuff, but it might be a month or two out, but I think we're just going to drop true crime and just go to LTL. I think LTL is just a lot better. Anyway, let's go on. Let's move.
And the results of the federal investigation will be released to the DA and to the defense. Wow. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight in Phoenix, Arizona, criminal defense attorney, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias.
Paul. we've got to coordinate a standout in my town. I'm going to talk with you. Let's get something going. In my city, actually. I live in a city. It's not a town. But in my city, we got to get something going here. And I think we can get a lot of people up here. And there's a big center where I live. And it'd be good for exposure. So let's get something going. I'll reach out. We'll get something going sometime soon. All right, here we go.
Hates her more than you. Kirk Nermy in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, Eklund Mercy, and also with us in Los Angeles, California.
I'll talk to you at the hearing on Monday.
Deputy Public Defender for LA County, Philip Dubé is with us. Great to see everyone tonight. Kirk, I've never seen this before.
I hope so.
It's a federal investigation of the state investigators who investigated and ended up charging Karen Reed with murder. The results of their investigation of the investigators will be revealed to the prosecution and Karen Reed and her defense team. What are your thoughts about that?
What a wild story. And, I know the judge was hesitant at this point to back up the trial date, but I'm wondering what kind of can of worms this is going to open, because how rare is it to have a case, as you mentioned, where the investigators are being investigated? That cannot be good for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and their attorney. So we could possibly see motion to disqualify those attorneys. We could see motions related to taking depositions of other people that were involved in this investigation. What initiated this investigation? I mean, these documents presumably are going to open more questions. They will provide answers. This and the possibility of DNA coming up means I'm thinking we're probably going to have to wait till March 12th before this trial hits the airwaves of Court TV.
Eklund Mercy, that is a gift. Isn't that a gift? I think regardless of what the results of this investigation are, at this point, this is an incredible gift to Karen Reed, that the people who are charging her or investigated her are being investigated by the feds.
Yeah, I don't think it's a gift. I think that with regards to the feds, they had trustworthy facts that a crime had been committed, and the fact that they're investigating means that they had enough to get to that point. We had enough for probable cause, and that really just throws a ding in the prosecution's investigation, because all the evidence is by these investigators that apparently, if there's enough probable cause for an investigation, means that there's enough. So there's issues with Brady material, meaning that, hey, did the prosecution or did the investigator keep some information that would be helpful to Ms. Reed? There's a lot. And the mere fact that the feds are still investigating, meaning that Karen Reed has a good shot of this not even going to trial. I think it may be dispositive just based on the interactions in court, that the information may be dispositive.
All right, Philip Dubé, you're in LA, and that's where Karen Reed's, one of her attorneys is. Alan Jackson is a former prosecutor there. I'm sure you've come across him many times inside the courthouse. What's your take here on this defense as a whole? Is because, I'm a big grain of salt guy. I'm a former prosecutor. There are some strange occurrences here. Do you think this is legit stuff by the defense, or do you think it's part of what I call defense theatrics?
Everybody in a suspense.
Where you kind of
knowing Alan Jackson, I have no doubt that he has credible evidence to back up his defense. There is no question. And there are some hard answers that the prosecution is going to have to answer if this in fact goes to trial. So, for example, that Google search of, how long does it take for a body to freeze? Why on earth that was Googled before the body was even found, or whatever that timeline was? That is a very significant, almost exonerating detail that will absolutely exonerate Karen Reed if that in fact comes into evidence. I cannot think of any reasonable explanation for that Google search predating in time and manner the discovery of Officer O'Keefe's body out in the snow. It doesn't make any sense. There has to be some type of digital technological explanation for it. Otherwise, it's going to look like the people in the house had their way with him, slid the body outside and left him there, and then tried to pin it on somebody who may have come into contact with him at the time time that he was dropped off at the party or sometime after his body was dragged outside. So I actually think it's pretty brilliant. Now, as for the federal thing, and I'll be brief, Karen Reed needs to be careful what she wishes for, because the federal investigation could also clear local police. Just because they're investigating doesn't mean that more charges will be brought or that they're going to come in and try to put that entire local police department into a receivership and assume jurisdiction over them. It could come out of the wash that they did nothing wrong and they can go forward with their prosecution. And then what? Now the prosecution can call the feds to the stand and double down on their assertions of the strength of the evidence. So they need to be careful too.
So, Kirk, if the opposite happens, though, Kirk, and there is something that the feds find that went wrong with this investigation, as witness after witness takes the stand for the prosecution against Karen Reed, you can use all that material to attack their credibility, attack their...
Real quick, if you don't know what a membership is, if you go right to my homepage, scroll all the way down, you get all my members-only content. I do brief pop-up live streams, all that. So if you've been gifted a membership, like I said, you can go over right on my homepage, scroll all the way to the bottom. You can watch all that members-only content. That content lasts for a month. You'll get the membership for a month. I'm sorry. It's a $4.99 membership. If you want to keep supporting the channel, you can. And you don't even have to sign back up for a $4.99er. I have, when you re-sign up, you can sign up just for $1.99. It helps keeping the channel going. So enjoy that free month. Enjoy that free content. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Investigation, if, and again, as Philip Dubé says, this is a big if they do find something wrong with this investigation.
Yeah, I would disagree with Philip. I don't think it can be used to bolster the state's case. They're not after the fact witnesses or to vouch for the credibility for the state. I think this can only help Karen Reed. And ultimately, you're right, Vinny, all these things and what initiated the investigation, all the inconsistencies they found, what was the probable cause, as Eklund said, they're going to be able to go after all of that and all that new information and follow up. That's why I say, I don't know that we're headed for a March 12th trial date, because there's going to be so much information that the Reed team can use. And if there's credibility to their assertions that Philip was talking about regarding the Google search, what have you, this is nothing but damaging, not only to the prosecution, but to every witness they're going to bring forward, because they're going to be impeached with all this information.
And obviously, we will stay on top of every development in this story as it marches on up in Massachusetts. All right, Kirk Nermy, Eklund Mercy, Philip Dubé with us the whole hour. Up next.
All right, let's go ahead here. I think that might be it. That's it. That's it for Vinny. Oh, I thought we had more. Thought we had more, Vinny. You tricked me. I thought it was a full segment on Karen. Anyway, so we got a little bit of what Vinny, Vinny needs to come to Massachusetts. Vinny needs to come to Massachusetts. Oh, by the way, check this out. Oh, look over my shoulder. New vintage poster. Misfits. New vintage poster. And got it framed, finally back from the framer, added it to the collection. Psyched about that one. Super psyched about it. I want to thank my friend Alan for getting that to me. He randomly sent it to me, and that's like probably late 80s, early 80s. Super excited about that one. It's a hard one to find, and love it. All right, let's go to the select board meeting. I haven't watched it. I watched thumb through some of it today. I'll take us right up to where the fireworks began in the last 45 minutes. Listen, I want to make sure that I bring some attention to something really quick. And I don't know if you all know, and I'm glad that I have the audience here right now, but there is a serious situation going on in Brockton, Massachusetts at the high school, and not just at the high school, but a serious situation that's going on through the whole school system through there, down from elementary all the way up. And this past Monday, there was an emergency press conference by 4 school committee members. There's 7 total. 4 of them stood up at a microphone and called for the National Guard to come in to protect the students and teachers there at Brockton High. It is a mess. I've done 2 live streams on it already, and I peeled back a lot of onion layers. And this shit goes back, from what I can find already, almost 10 years. And I'm sure it goes back beyond that. But from what I found, this all started in about 2015. The mayor in Brockton has gone on and said, we're going to fix it. 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 Well, you're not fixing it. You're not doing your job. It's a failure to the top. And if you go back and watch both of those streams, especially the one today, that is the most important one, you will see the failure that is going on in Brockton. And there are teachers that are being assaulted. There's students that are being airlifted to hospitals. There are people that are being allowed to roam the halls that do not belong there. There's no control. The mayor is saying, listen, we don't want the National Guard to come in. The governor's saying, we don't want the National Guard to come in. Well, what is your plan? What is your plan to fix this? These teachers are getting ready to walk out of the school on those students. They don't want to do that. They want to be there and be productive. They want to teach. That's what they love to do. And you are not protecting it. When you send your kids off to school, to public school, it is their job by the state to educate your children and to protect them. It is their job to do that. And they are failing in Brockton. And I urge you all, please go back and watch those streams. Inform yourself what is going on in Brockton. I will continue to talk about this. And if you don't live in Brockton, I don't live in Brockton. I don't live in Brockton. I used to spend a lot of time in Brockton down in the early 90s. There was a club there called the 121. I used to frequent it a lot. My band played there a lot. It was a rough club. People used to get the crap kicked out of them there. But this is not only happening in Brockton. I guarantee this is happening in your town, in your cities too, across America. People need to wake up. And the people that are in power there are not doing their jobs. They're not doing their jobs. They have failed. There's $14.4 million missing from their budget last year. They have a $14.4 million deficit in their budget. Where is that money? And we read an article today. You know what they said they spent it on? Security. One of the things that they said in that article is they spent it on security. Where's the security? People are being airlifted from Brockton High because they've been beaten so bad to local hospitals. So please, I know you're all local here. I know a lot of the people in here from Massachusetts. Look into this. It's very, very important. And it's not only happening in Brockton. I guarantee it, it's happening where you are too. All right, let's play through the Canton community hearing last night. We'll play the last 45 minutes. I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody listening to my diatribe right there. But it's very important. It's something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm going to continue. Yeah, and again, we discovered this today too. It's a $20 million deficit. They said there was supposed to be an audit. That was supposed to take 6 months ago. That audit was supposed to happen. There's no audit. Where's the audit? Where is this money? So I'm going to keep looking into this. I'm going to keep peeling back the layers. I promise you. Patty K with a $4.99. There is a huge accountability problem in the schools. Serious lack of discipline and learning deficit happening in Chicago. I'm going to tell you, and I said this at the beginning of my streams. It all starts at home. The family units. Do you know where your kids are? Do you know what they're doing? They probably don't. They probably don't. And I talked about this before. It's not a particular group of people. It's men. It's boys. It's girls. It's black. It's white. It's Asian. It's everybody. Everybody is involved in this. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Thank you for the $4.99. I appreciate it. And I want to go back to this. Nikki said, I love watching your channel grow. You're doing great. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. We need to raise more awareness. This is your community too. And that's why I love these Canton Select Board meetings, because we're getting to see what happens in small town America here in Massachusetts. I don't know if it's such a small town, but anyway, you get my point. All right, let's play.
Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Next, the town intends to make number 25 and number 27 Neponton Street a municipal parking lot. The plans are being developed for the project in the spring. I move that the board authorize using mitigation.
I'm going to tell you,
up
when
to
Turtle Boy
5,000
gets out, I'm going to be talking to him about the Brockton High situation. I hope he jumps on it. I hope he starts talking about it. And that's something that I'm going to talk to him about. You need to do more about this. You need to get it out there.
$1,000 from the reservoir pond fund for the demolition.
I was tweeting at the mayor today, and I tweeted at the governor today. Do you think they responded to any of my tweets? Nope.
27 Neponton Street.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
That'd be helpful downtown.
Yeah, yeah, especially that side.
Yep.
Next, Mr. Chair, we have an item to consider approving of the personal action form for the board secretary to the Procurement Audit Committee, Allison
I'll be
Neff.
talking to him about it.
So my thought on this is, as I understand what the intent of this request is, but it was not in the article. The petitioners of that article made it clear they don't want the select board to have involvement in of this. So I don't, as one member, I can't approve this request. If the committee is formed, this is for the Procurement Audit Committee for the independent audit of the police department, for those watching at home. If that committee is formed and then they come to us and say, we need a secretary, I might change my thought on that, because simply because they would be on our payroll, the select board has to approve it. But at this time, I don't think that this is something that we should be considering as one member.
I agree with Mr. Loughlin. I think once the committee is started, is formed, then they can come back, and then they can come back, like you said, into the criminal laws. And at this point right now, it was specifically asked that the select board not be involved in this. So I have to agree with Mr. Loughlin. So any other comments or questions on this? We have a motion then.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I have
Right,
a
Doreen? Do you know where your kids are?
I'm sorry.
Understandably so, as to both your comments, but how does this committee move on if there is a need for some services to move it on? How do we get to that point? If there is the committee has.
And real quick, I just want to go back to Brockton really quick. We were watching one of the emergency school meetings today, and one of the people that are in charge literally looked and said, "We don't know how to fix it." Do you feel good about the person in charge that said, "We don't know"? We don't know how to fix it. We don't know how to fix it. Unbelievable.
Hasn't been formed yet, from what I understand. Is that true?
Correct.
Is that true?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So it hasn't been formed. So what's the step of how do they get to that point?
So why don't we put something out in the paper, put it on the thing that we're looking for. Let me digress here for a second. From what I understand, anybody that signed that petition is eligible to participate in this committee. So why don't we put it out in an advertisement to see who is interested in being part of this committee. Again, I don't know how many people are going to apply, so I couldn't tell you how you would select those, but
I think we do. Yeah, go ahead.
I would just tell you that the article delegated the authority to the finance director, who delegated his authority to the committee chair.
Okay.
Any method
Could be
that's to be used to solicit who wants to be involved in the committee should come from
the
delegated by.
Question here is, how do we solicit those?
Well, right,
So that's up to them.
right now, there's no committee meetings, and this position is for a committee secretary or clerk to take minutes and perform other administrative tasks, but there's no task to perform right now. So this wouldn't necessarily slow down or prevent the committee from being formed. It really lies in the hands of Mr. McCarthy, who's been delegated that task. But as Mr. Loughlin said, once the committee's formed, if the committee as a group feels like they need to have this person, then they would come back and request it of you, and at that time you would approve it.
Any questions or comments?
Yep.
How common is it for a committee to have a secretary? How often does that take place? An audit committee or something project-based like this?
So typically, there would be somebody there to take meeting minutes, and something as visible as this audit, it's got a lot of eyes on it. is what I think there should be regular updates. With the select board has been getting emails asking to provide updates, and it's not our committee, so we can't be part of it. I don't
So
have an
could
update.
the committee itself, once formed, have a say in how expensive that minute taker is?
Oh,
Yeah.
I would think so. Absolutely.
Right?
That's.
And I just want to clarify, when you refer to petitioners, and I know that you guys are not part of this process. I understand that it's been left to the finance director to delegate it to someone who was quite vocal at special town meeting against this project as a whole. That said, any reference to, and I said this before, the petitioners somehow voting, when the people who signed the petition for Article 6 to be voted at special town meeting did just that. They were not voting for an audit. They were signing to have this go for a vote. The people who were in support of it were the 903 people who anonymously, in theory, voted, and we'll never know who they are. So it's, to me, absurd that we would reinvent or invent some process to create appointments when it has never existed like that. And it takes away, and it's such a violation of your First Amendment rights to be put your feet to the fire, to be identified and mailed something to arbitrarily fill in a blank about who you think should be on this committee. I just think it's absurd.
Rita Lombardi. I've been on numerous projects my entire career, and there is no secretary in the project meeting. It's a project team, and what happens is somebody.
I love
within
what Rita says here. Getting the community, the people in charge, and making it more of a communal thought. This is a really good point that she says here. I remember this when reviewing this.
The team agrees to take
Right.
notes, and one person becomes the chair, another person becomes the note taker.
Well, they
and what
usually
you have
sometimes
is a
call them the
collaboration
scribe.
of multi different skill sets. You don't have everybody with RFP experience, because that's what Mr. Scollins' designation has. He's got the experience. The other people have different kinds of experience that they bring to the party. And the language in the article was written in a time crunch. And so the petitioners get to choose who the other two people are.
Scribe, recorder.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to come from the petitioner's list. That's just one point I want to make. And I was part, Liza was part as well, and Kathleen Howley is the lead petitioner, and she's sick tonight, that's why she's not here. When the discussion was about the select board, it wasn't that the select board, the reason the conversation was that the select board wasn't to be involved, it was to be involved in the actual selection process. But the rest of this other administrative stuff, that's what you're there for.
Well, just like the audit in Brockton, there was an audit that was called for 6 months ago for the $14.4 million that's missing out of their school budget. $14.4 million. There was supposed to be an audit that Mayor Sullivan called for and said, "I will get answers. We'll get this audited. We will open up the books." That was 6 months ago, and there still isn't an audit. It still isn't an audit in Brockton.
Well, you're there to support the town in executing this. And so the whole reason for the audit was to bring the community back together and to build trust in the community of what's going on in the town and to make people feel safe again. And we're delaying the process. It's been the end of January, last week in January. By February 1, Mr. Scollins appointed Mr. McCarthy. We're already at the end of February, and we don't have a committee. And Mr. McCarthy said he invited people before the ink dried, and then said he didn't. And so, we just want to get this audit moving. And so that's what we want to do. And if the select board has to participate in administrative stuff, then you participate. It's the selection process.
Go ahead.
And I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah, sure.
What the petitioners had in mind with this committee and with the independent audit is for the team to solicit national firms, to go out to
Good
national
point,
firms,
Bob.
research them, interview them, and then make the best selection for the town. And to do that in expedient fashion so that we could have somebody on board and notify them by June 30th so we could get this audit moving. And it's not moving quickly, and we really want it to move fast. So it's not that we want you to help move this along, because Mr. Scollins doesn't want any part of it. He's made it clear that he's delegated it to Bob McCarthy and his hands are done with it. And so everybody can't say not me. We have to have somebody say, I'll take that responsibility. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Chairman, with that said, and to the speaker, Rita, I guess the contention to get this moving, from my understanding, and stepping away back from this, but listening to the conversation, is that there are 300 and somebody that signed the petition to put it on the warrant for the special town meeting.
Correct.
So it's my understanding that out of that 300 people, they had to determine their 2 representatives, not the 903. It's the 303 people or whatever that signed that petition to get it on the warrant. So the easiest way, I think, to expedite that would be to have a secretary either send out notices to the 303 people and say, who do you want on this committee? And it could be yourself, Rita, or it could be anybody in this room. And then they all send back a card through this secretaries and then it's done. Then you have your 2 representatives. The 2 that get the most responses, and you probably get the same 2 or the same 4.
Right.
You will have that, it'll be done. Then you have your committee. And it's over. So with that said, I would be inclined to hire the secretary, and I don't think it's going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to do this, just to get this process going.
I mean, so secretaries don't usually run elections.
Right.
And when we were at special town meeting, we had the moderator and the town clerk come up with an alternative voting method so that people could protect their privacy.
Right.
And it was voted down. And people did not want an alternative voting way. And now Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Scollins are offering an alternative voting way that we're supposed to accept. It doesn't make sense. And so the petitioners were the ones that were going to put forth the names. And so the petitioners should be able to source. And we want to go outside of the names of the people on the petition, because we have other people in town that could have been the 903 that have the expertise. We're looking for a diverse.
You see the engagement and the body language from everybody on that panel? Does it really look like these people care about their community? All they fucking care about is sitting up here, their fucking status in the town, and their paycheck at the end of the day. These people don't give a fucking rat's ass what's going on in Canton. And I fucking saw it today when I started looking at the Brockton hearings. And now this is actually prompting me to look into my local hearings. I might start going to some of these hearings and figure out what's going on in my city. But these people don't give a fucking rat's ass. Look at their body language. Go back and look at my my stream from today about Brockton and looking at those meetings. Insane. They don't give a shit. All they care about is they're collecting their paycheck. And I don't know how much money these people make a year. Probably 100 grand or just under 100 grand. But it's all about a fucking social status in their towns and their cities too. They don't give a shit. Look at the body language. Do you think they actually care and listen to what she's saying? It's going in one fucking ear and going out the other. I hate this shit. No one takes accountability. And all these people make so much money. And they make the fucking decisions here in our towns and our cities. This is why it's very important. I've said this over and over and over and over again. I'm sorry, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs right now because I'm upset. As I said this over and over and over again. It is very, very important that you get involved in your local elections. This should be a teaching lesson for all of you that are watching this stream or watching it on replay. The national election, who cares? Vote the people in your cities, in your towns. They are making the decisions for your neighborhood. And I'm so glad that we're getting to see this on display. But it took a fucking murder of a Boston police officer to get this going. Sad. It shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be under those circumstances. But please, it's very important. Vote in your local elections. Find out who's running your area, your neighborhoods. I don't know how much they make. I'm just saying, all the perks of being on the board. You know how all that goes. All right, let's play.
Stan, you're saying it's outside the 303, it's into the 903. With that said, is the problem, and town council's not here, is the problem
Exactly.
here is the way that
you're right.
it was written in the warrant? Is that the issue at Stan? Because I don't, how would you get the 903 because no one knows who they are.
Yeah, you're not going to.
That's a very interesting. So we're in a logjam here.
Right. So maybe Mr. Scollins can offer a solution. Mr. Scollins, do you have another alternative? It is your area.
Please, this everything goes to the chair,
Oh,
please.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Maybe Mr. Scollins could speak to this and maybe offer some suggestions, seeing he is responsible for the designee.
The only thing that I would offer at this point in time as the chair is that Mr. McCarthy is chairing this committee, and he is responsible for forming it.
Here's the thing I don't like about early voting, and I'm not going to pick on you, but this is the thing I hate about early voting. Where's that vote? It's going to sit in a box. It probably could get thrown out. I like going to the poll and voting, making sure that whenever I put my ballot in, it goes into the machine and it's counted. So be very careful about early voting. We've heard a lot about that in national elections over the last couple of years, if you catch my drift. Ballot dumps, missing ballots, stuff like that. Vote in person. That's the most important thing. And I get it. If you live in an area you can't, and you're only able to vote by mail, that's what you have to do. But I always urge everybody, please go vote in person, because you want to make sure your vote actually goes into that ballot box, because that's important. And I get it. There's situations that people can't. I respect that. But just be careful. If you can actually get to the ballot box, that's the most important time that you can go.
So that's a hands off. That's a hands off. That is.
Characterize it any way you want.
Well, that's what it is.
That's the way this is.
And so Mr. McCarthy was voted, he was delegated this responsibility 3 weeks ago, and he has taken zero action. We
Oh, no
want
problem.
the audit.
That you're right. Okay.
Again, I said
Well-
there's certain circumstances, and again, you have to do what's best for you. But if you can be at the ballot box, I urge people to go, and that's fine. You voted, that's great. You voted, that's great. All right, let's keep
He
playing.
has not communicated what he has done.
And don't speak about things you don't know.
Well, then why don't you share with us?
Speak to Mr. McCarthy.
I will.
So,
Okay, so listen, this is the problem, okay? We have someone right
I just want to go back a little bit here and see this back and forth.
The interest, so we're in a logjam here.
Right. So maybe Mr. Scollins can offer a solution. Mr. Scollins, do you have another alternative? It is your area.
Please, this
That's
everything
not
goes to the
appropriate.
chair,
Oh,
please.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. Maybe Mr. Scollins could speak to this and maybe offer some suggestions, seeing he is responsible for the designee.
The only thing that I would offer at this point in time as the chair is that Mr. McCarthy is chairing this committee, and he is responsible for forming it.
So that's a hands off. That's a hands off. That is,
Characterize it any way you want.
well, that's what it is.
That's the way this is.
And so Mr. McCarthy was voted, he was delegated this responsibility 3 weeks ago, and he has taken zero action. We want the
incorrect.
audit.
That you're right. Okay.
Okay, well, he has not communicated what he has done.
And don't speak about things you don't know.
Well, then why don't you share with us?
Speak to Mr. McCarthy.
I will.
So,
Okay, so listen, this is the problem, okay? We have someone right here
right.
who refuses to listen to the
Yeah.
people.
He is delegated, Mr. McCarthy. You were specifically asked that the select board not get involved.
Because we didn't want you involved in the RFP process, but that didn't mean we didn't want you involved in everything else. What I'm saying, Mr. Theodore, is that came together. That was a special town meeting that came together in 45 days. And Mr. Scollins knows we sat there in the finance committee Liza, myself, and Kathleen working with the FinCom committee and working with Mr. Scollins to pull this together as quickly as we could. Mr. Scollins has changed language in the article. Yes, he has. He said he's going to vote by democratic process, and it's not in the article. So if Mr. Scollins can show us where it is in the article, that would be fantastic. It's
Okay.
not out of order.
All right, hold on one second, Mr. Chair. Just, may I please, hold on, please, 1 second? Okay, so to me, and this is just my own opinion, all right, and I understand how the extension of the 903, but right now, if we, out of the 303 that actually signed the petition for the warrant article, I think you could send out the second, this is.
The thing is here is that Rita's holding everybody to the carpet. And this is what needed to be done. This is what needed to be shook up. And now there's people that are in power that are in the positions that they've been in, and they've never been challenged because everything has always been the norm. Let's just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. I, nay, 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 I, nay, nay. But now we want answers. They want answers in Canton. And these people are being challenged, and they're being rattled for the first time in their reign. And they don't like it. They don't like it because what's happening is America now is getting able to see the onion layers being peeled back. The truth is coming out. The truth is coming out.
Me thinking.
Yeah.
They could send out 303 cards,
excuse me,
response cards. You don't have your name on it. Just here's the card, send it in. It's unanimous. Those 300 or 200 come back with those names of the two most people that group might wanted. Then this solves a problem. It eliminates maybe 600 people from your list, but I don't think that was the intention of anybody. I think this is the way to correct the problem and move the process to have a secretary through Mr. McCarthy, that's what I believe he wants, send out cards to the 303 people, have them denote out of the 303 people, the two people they want, and that's it. You got your group, your committee, and it moves on. And it just ends this. I know what you're saying about the 903 that voted at the special town meeting, but there's no way of going back and having those. I'm just saying this corrects the problem and it moves it on.
So I just want to say, Mr. McCourt, I love your creativity and I love you listening to us and I love you trying to help us with solutions. I love that. And I'm okay with that. I'll take the 300. I don't really care. Okay. Just get the ball moving.
Right.
And so, but if we do send it out to the 303 people, how do they know who's interested? How do they know who has the skills? How do they know? They're not going to know. They're not even going to know the other 300 people because you got privacy to some degree.
I would, and I understand that concept too, but I would, if I signed that petition myself, I would know who, you know, Bob
You're right,
Smith
Tyrone, 100%.
asked me to sign it because he's really interested. I'd probably put Bob Smith's name on that card. That's what I would probably do.
People don't
and most
know.
of the people, I'm just trying to get you from point A to point B.
And I appreciate that. And I'll, you know, that's what we're trying to do.
And by
Get from
doing
point A to
that,
point
and by
B.
hiring a secretary to do this by the chairman's request, that's how I would get to point A to point B.
So do we have to hire a secretary? Can't somebody just do it on overtime and just mail out the stuff?
I don't know if we
I mean,
could delegate that. I think the secretary would be such a minimal expense to do this. And I would say it's a one-time thing. You do this, Mr. McCarthy says, I want a secretary to implement, to get these two people selected.
Shout
Then the
out to
committee
Mazda
meets,
Media.
They make the decisions off from there on.
Huge
That should-
supporter of all the
I just want to
locals
say
down
one
here.
more thing.
Appreciate
Okay.
you.
And I haven't
you.
mentioned this before. I am very concerned about the Canton Post Office because I never received my warrant in the mail. So, and I know there's many other people that didn't receive their warrants in the mail. And I know that the post office reported that a couple of guys didn't think they were supposed to deliver bins of the warrants and whatever the mishap was. Okay. I personally wouldn't
Isaiah?
risk my job on that with a government job and risk my pension. So I personally, I have questions. I don't trust the process. I did not get a warrant in the mail and other people didn't get the warrant. So how do I have
you, Mazda.
confidence
You're awesome.
that
Huge
the
support.
votes are
All
going to
on
come
Twitter.
back completely and be tabulated correctly? Because we've never, this is an untested procedure, voting by secretary.
Them.
So
And my
maybe
response to
Mr.
that is the best we have available to do this process.
Could be a man,
That's
could
what
be a
we
woman.
have,
They
or
do
that's
great
what
work.
the committee, or that's what the chairman, or
All Mazda Media.
this is what you have. You're gonna send out the 303, whatever it
Got
is
the
that's
link.
written down, send it out, and your you're going to play your best card here.
What
That's
if-
all I think we can have right now.
So, okay, so let me ask you, what is your solution to
My
this?
solution is to get the job done.
I
That's my-
understand that, but
that's
that's
my
not a
solution.
solution.
My solution, my
But
solution
how do
is-
we get, like Mr. McCourt just said, how do we get from
Now they're
point
gonna
A to point
challenge
B?
Rita.
Thank you, Mr. Theodore, for asking me. Okay, I believe Kathleen Howley was the lead petitioner. And I believe we have the list of the 300 people. And I believe Kathleen Howley should communicate to the people, we can get something out there published saying, if you signed the petition and we could do it to a letter to the editor. If you signed the petition and you are interested in being on this committee, let Kathleen know. And then the petitioners wanted the right to be, we want to feel represented.
Okay,
And let the petitioners give you the
Pretty
names.
much that's what I just said. Advertise it
Yeah.
to whoever, to the petitioner,
Yeah.
whoever signed it. Okay, and you were looking for a point person.
Right.
There's
Let
your
it be
point.
Kathleen.
There's your
Let it be
point person.
Kathleen.
Excuse me, she's talking. There's your point person.
Let it be Kathleen,
this is
and
great.
Kathleen will give you the names. And I'm going to make this real good for everybody. I'm not going to be on the committee.
No,
I'm
I've
not
n-
even looking to be on the committee anymore. Okay, I'm done. But I'm going to be in the audience. And I am going to be there every time to make sure that this is fully transparent and it gets done the way that people want it.
So would that be the best way to get
Let
to it?
Kathleen decide. Let Kathleen, we'll get the notice out to the people. The petitioners, first of all, it feels lopsided,
What's that?
right? You have Bob McCarthy, the loudest person opposing it, chairing it. That doesn't make us feel good. And then he's going to pick people that probably aren't supportive of it. And so you get two little people from the petitioners, and we don't even have a say in it. And
Well-
it's going to be vote by mail. Let Kathleen make the
Well,
decision.
let me ask you
Yeah, she's
again,
great.
that's not our decision.
Going
Why don't you
crazy.
reach out to Mr. McCarthy
Awesome.
and tell
Good stuff.
him this is what you're looking for. This is what we want.
Because he came back pretty firm, pretty authoritarian, saying that he
there's
is.
opposition to both sides, which would actually,
Okay,
which is actually be good for this committee because you want opposite views.
You
So
do.
why don't you reach out to Mr. McCarthy?
I will.
And then at this point, I think we should just put something together and then
Okay. I'll reach
we'll
out.
start working from there. Start
Okay,
going from
I
there.
do appreciate that. And I will reach out to him. He hasn't been very receptive, but I will reach out to him and I'll give it another shot.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you
Perfect.
very much. And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just want to say, so the process is that, I'm sorry, my name is Susan Harrington.
Yeah.
The process here is that we're going to mail out to the 303 people who signed the petition to select the two people on this committee of 5 that were in favor of.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
Who's to
Now's
say
it.
if they
Anytime.
actually voted for the
Thank you.
audit when
Thank you
at
for
town
support.
meeting, but they voted to put
Always
it up for
supporting
vote
me.
for audit.
Right.
What is the process for selecting the other 2 members at large? Are we
Oh
going
boy, is that the lawyer from last time? That guy's been to the last meetings. I think that we just, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the Free Karen Reed movement, but we just got to let this all play out in trial. That guy, right? I'm a lawyer. I'm a lawyer.
out cards to every person who didn't sign the audit and select from them? I mean, it's so lopsided and weird. It makes no sense.
I got a question. If you, and I think it should be open to the complete public, but if you don't live in Canton, you can go, right? Like if I wanted to go in and sit in the audience, I can go, right? Can someone confirm that? I want to go down there. I'll go down and sit. I'll sit in there. All right, I could probably go check one of these out. I'll go in the
I'm
audience.
sorry for interrupting. What is the composition of this board, of this committee?
You have the 2 and 2.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because
Chair.
Boy went. That's right.
The chair, the one that Mr.
You
Sculls
can
delegated.
speak?
Then that.
I thought you had to
chair.
be I thought you had to be a resident of Canton. I will fall asleep.
Points 2 citizens at
Bring
large,
up
we'll call them,
Yeah.
and then 2 from the petitioners.
Scott,
Okay,
I
so
gotta I gotta go down there. I gotta go to one.
So
But that does not.
That's
make
right. Yeah,
any
that's right.
That's the way the
I thought
article
about
is
that.
written.
Turtle
Am I
Boy going.
correct?
No, this whole vote, we're going to poll the petitioners. That is not in the language of the article. This is the whole reason we're upset.
I want to go.
This is something that Bob McCarthy has fabricated as the process, and it's crazy.
Crickets.
You don't have the authority to change. Mr. McCarthy has to make the decision. So
McCarthy.
I think that you were right to ask Rita to reach out to Bob directly and have that conversation.
So he's now the king of this process, and no matter how many people disagree with it, it's just whatever he says goes. That's your position. I just want to understand.
The way the article was written and the way that it was voted at town meeting, this board doesn't have the authority to undo town meeting.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
To see. I can read it. But there is no mention of a democratic process, Liza Colburn. There's no mention of a democratic process.
I
The
think that
procurement
guy wears the same outfit every week. Does he wear the same? Well, not every week, but every 2 weeks. I think he wears the same outfit every 2 weeks.
process should be in compliance with all conflicts of interest and ethics laws. Mind you, Bob McCarthy vehemently opposed this at special town meeting, and is going to be getting a voting role. So he and then 2 people he chooses, 3 now, have the power, if they so choose, to greatly limit the scope of this or blow through the 200,000, which is, from what we researched, pretty measly for this. In accordance with the public records law, the results on the independent consultant's report should be made public. There's
Rita
no
with the
mention of
9.99.
some
Thanks for all you do, Brian. No, thank you.
first
for
time
being
ever
here. Thank you for
democratic
being a
process
supporter
where people who
and
signed a
moderator.
petition
Thank you.
to have something voted on
Sunday
are
best.
going to be somehow surveyed with a fill in the blank method. It's just crazy.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, one last comment. Would it be advisable for the drafters of the petition to talk to town council and say, would it be legal for us to just, the drafters, the 2 people that did, talk to town council, take a half hour and say, would it be legal to us to just appoint our own to that committee? Is that possible to do that?
Had your kids,
Instead of
had your
doing something,
wife.
is that legal? Mr. McCarthy, I think, was looking at a democratic way to choose it between the 300. There's been some arguments about the 903, whatever. And this is all getting drawn out and we're not going from A to B. So a conversation as to, can the drafters of the article decide among
Had your
people?
kids,
Because this
had
whole
your
thing
wife.
is just getting blown out and it's just stopped. And I think that, I still think if we got the secretary to pick some out of 303, I know at least gets the ball rolling. That's just my comments. And it's just, so we got to get closer together here. That's it. And I think that, I still think the secretary's the way to go at the moment for expedite
Go
this.
back and forth here.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Nicholas.
Who's that?
Yeah, it's actually this side.
Oh, okay, 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 that was my mistake. Go ahead.
Name, please.
So what my issue is that I want to know where the money's coming from for the salary for this secretary, because it's most certainly not coming from the funds that were appropriated for the audit, right? The motion that we voted on was to spend the money to hire an independent auditor, not to hire a secretary. As such, the money's for the audit. And no other committees have a paid secretary position that I know of. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel that, this is a fabricated mail-in voting process because we want to whittle down the money and sabotage the audit and have less money to spend.
That is not true.
Well, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's my
As a matter of fact,
opinion.
if you
And it's valid and other people believe it as well. So,
This guy gonna
you know,
leave?
and if
Bye.
people don't see the corruption, or no, I don't want to use the word
No,
corruption.
yeah,
People don't
corruption,
see
okay.
the
All right, listen.
sideways,
All right, here's the deal. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. Huh? Like, reach out to Mr. McCarthy, okay? Okay, and then if we want, we can re-put something back on the agenda for the next agenda. Well, let's get this thing going, like you said. And that's all. We do want to do the same thing. We are not opposed to any kind of an audit or anything like that. Excuse me. We're looking at getting a group together to put an RFP together and to select a company to do it. That's all.
This is just delaying the process. This is all this is. Delay the process, pass the buck. It's never going to get done. I'm telling you. Yeah, Care Bear just got it. Passing the buck. Call him. Call them. You should have heard it today when we're playing the Brockton meeting today. Call this person. I don't know the solution. Who knows? Maybe you can talk to them. We'll bring this person up. Maybe they have an answer. I don't know. It's crazy. It's insane.
All this is. So
We get you to help us with Mr. McCarthy. Can you meet with us?
He's not willing to.
Mr. McCoy?
I could reach out to Mr. McCarthy, but we're not, I know this is it's so touchy, and I don't want to overstep one way and then come back another way. So it's like, stay away, and then I'm having an issue with that.
All it is kumbaya.
Kumbaya,
Okay, we get together and we discuss what Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Scollins, who just walked out, want to do. It's red tape. Just get it done.
Yeah.
The petitioners want to be able to name the two people that are going to represent the petitioners. That's all we want. Let us give you the names and let's get this baby going. And then we can move forward and we can show progress. Right now, we're getting stuck in the weeds. And I really appreciate both of you. I really do. The contribution, I really do. So thank you. And if you can meet with us with Mr. McCarthy, I would appreciate it because he hasn't, I think we need one other person.
okay. Good.
Oh, boy.
I just had a question. The committee that we're talking about here is simply to pick an independent audit firm to
Correct.
investigate everything. So it's not like if I didn't vote for the audit. So imagine my personal feelings would have no bearing on that. We're picking the best firm available, I would imagine.
Correct.
They'd be independent, probably not be aware where Canton is. So I totally get Rita's point, but I don't see how it would be prejudicial. I don't see how it's out of the realm of the procurement officer whose job it is to do these types of things. That's what he does to handle this. Maybe the correspondence would be good to move it along, everything like that. But as far as what I'm seeing or hearing, I don't understand what the huge problem is.
Had your
Mr.
kids,
Chair,
had your
I
wife.
suggest that we move on. It's not a topic that we can get ourselves involved in. So I think that the advice for Ms. Lombardi to reach out to Mr. McCarthy is the next logical step. And if there's still an issue, certainly bring it back to us. But
So the issue at hand, okay, let's go back to the issue at hand then is
the board secretary.
The board secretary, which again, I agree with you. I'm not in a position, I'm not in favor of this at this point. I think that should be done when the committee is formed, come back as far as the money they need to be allocated, then we handle. But that comes from the committee itself. So so we're gonna get back to this appointment of.
Chair, do you mind if I speak?
Go ahead, your name and your address.
I live in Narragansett, Rhode Island.
So
everyone up there voted against the petition, against the audit.
What are you talking about? Of the board here?
Yeah, you all voted against the audit.
Now, all right, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, but
You don't have to.
Okay, but
I'm just stating a
excuse-
fact.
Excuse me. We had already supported. If you had paid attention to the previous meetings, we had already agreed to go forward with.
Right, but you were
Now,
biased.
wait a second.
You were biased in your opinion on the audit. So as a collective unit, you voted against the audit.
Dude, that's a sick drive. That's a sick drive from Narragansett to Canton. That's a sick drive. That's far. That's like an hour and a half. Might even be longer than that. It's probably an hour and a half. And the fucking situation with the bridge that they all fucking knew about here in Rhode Island, that another thing that's been past the buck. The fucking bridge that's ready to fall into the ocean that everybody fucking knew about. Excuse me, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs. It's late. But everybody knew about, and they're passing the buck on that. You get stuck in that traffic. That guy probably had to come over that bridge to get to Canton. That's been a shit show in Rhode Island. Another one, the buck's been passed on that one.
And you appointed Scollins.
We did not appoint anybody.
Well,
as
okay,
a board.
so
That was
influenced
appointed.
Scollins, 'cause
So
he is
get
an
your facts
employee.
right.
He
We
is an
didn't- I'm
employee.
getting
All
that.
right, so-
all right, here's what we decided.
not
Okay,
an employee of
Ms.
the
Lombardi,
town?
excuse me, Ms. Lombardi, I will reach out to you. I will. Okay, we'll
so-
speak. We'll get this ball rolling. Okay.
Right. but you don't have any influence over what he
You,
does?
you asked us,
Oh,
you
okay.
asked us to stay out
He
of
gets
it.
paid
Well, it
by
gets
the
late.
town, does he not?
All the kids are in bed.
No, it doesn't matter what the article says. It's what you guys do as
No,
his
it's-
bosses.
all right.
about
We're gonna
his
move on
decision
with this.
on
We're gonna
who
get.
he picks
we're-
for
all right. Are you now?
designee.
Okay. Now we'll work on this. Okay.
I mean,
at
let's
this point,
just put it in context, okay? Everyone up
The chair,
here.
you got to move on.
okay, I'm moving on. Yes,
Gotta move on.
We've discussed what
Okay,
we're going to
fine.
discuss. What
Move
we're going
on,
to do.
But let it be clear,
We-
okay?
we-
We all know how you felt when the audit was voted on, right?
All right.
Now,
me.
moving
Okay, all right.
forward,
Thank
It's out of
you,
order.
thank you.
We're not
Okay.
going
It's out of order.
about things the way
Excuse
they
me, I'm
should
gonna ask
be
you.
done.
Okay,
the
we're
way
moving
the
on.
people want
Yeah,
it done.
We're moving on. Okay, I told
Good,
you.
move on, but,
Thank
but
you.
let
I'm
it
going
be
to ask you
known,
to please.
everybody knows what
Please
it's
take
all
a seat.
about.
Please take a seat. Okay, we will work. We'll get this thing moving. Okay. Can we have as far as this motion here?
Next,
it's to
Mr.
appoint
Chair,
a secretary.
there is no motion.
No motion.
There is no motion. Take no action.
Okay, we're not going to take action. So we're not going to take action on hiring a
Board
secretary
secretary.
for the procurement audit committee.
Next on the agenda, sir, we have a motion to consider the appointing of a building maintenance worker, Mr. James Nashwati. Sorry.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any other questions about comments? All in favor? Aye.
Yeah, get the eyes passed.
5-0.
More money.
Next.
Next,
More
Mr.
money.
Chair, at the recommendation of the Human Resource Director and Town Clerk, I move that the board appoint election workers Nancy Casper, Allison Patton, Stephen Hirsch, Sharon King, Dolores Marmel, David McFarland, Dorothy Wheeler, Agnes Hagan, and Rhonda Meisel.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, all eyes. More
Next,
money.
Mr. Chair, at the recommendation of the Human Resource Director, I move that the board appoint crossing guard Karen Cody.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
All aye.
5-0.
Next, Mr. Chair, at the recommendation of the Human Resource Director and the Superintendent of Public Works, I move that the board approve the personal action form for Assistant Town Engineer Joshua Giddings.
Second.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Mary, watch
Next,
the one
Mr.
from
Chair,
this
at the
afternoon.
recommendation of the Human
Most
Resource
important one.
Director and Library
Brings
Director,
back a lot of
I
onion
move that the
layers.
board approve the personal action form for library page Lisa Quinn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, more money.
Next, Mr. Chair, after multiple meetings and several proposals for competitive market analysis of 50 Copperworks Unit 104, I move that the board authorize the town administrator to enter an agreement with a Realtor for the town-owned unit 50 Copperworks Unit 104.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Judy has a comment.
Go
I
ahead.
just want to clarify that we met with 3 local realtors for the marketing of that unit, and we selected Realtor Rivas is the company that we selected based on their proposals.
Yeah, more money.
Okay?
So motion been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-1.
5-0.
5-0.
Next, Mr. Chair, just related to this, as you know, that this unit, the town owns, and it is going to be sold. So I just want to make sure that the town administrator is authorized to execute an agreement should this unit sell.
Where's that money
before-
going?
In between a meeting. So I make a motion that the board authorize the town administrator to execute a sales agreement for the property at 50 Copperworks Unit 104, sorry.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any questions or
More money.
comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
Yeah. All right, the vendor warrant total for the week of 2/9/2024, $1,855,574.96. The payroll warrant total for the week of 2/9/2024, $1,508,001.54. I move that the board approve the minutes from the select board meetings of February 1st, 2024 and February 6th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
More money.
Town administrator, okay.
Yep,
go ahead,
next we have a town administrator update. Go to Mr. Duty.
Thank you. Thank you. I just have one thing tonight. Andrea read the previous announcement about the library grant. I am going to tell you about a new program that the Canton Fire Department is launching with, in cooperation with, in partnership with Boston Medical Center. It is, it's called the Field Transfusion Paramedic Program. And basically what it is, it allows Canton Fire Department paramedics to transfuse whole blood in the field. It's something that is not normally done. There's no other department doing this in the Northeast. It's been a project that's been in the workings for about 3 years. They've overcome a lot of regulations, a lot of obstacles, along a lot of licensing that has to go on with this. And so they were fortunate enough to partner with Boston Medical Center, which is one of the finest trauma centers in the Northeast. So the program will be overseen by a medical director from
Yeah, we're almost
Boston
there.
Medical Center. And
I don't want to miss
I
it.
do.
That's the thing. You start fast forward and all that. It just
At 9 a.m., beginning at 9 a.m.
let's see.
And that's it.
That's all I have.
cash, homie. On to the
Public comment period.
public comment period. Again, let me reiterate something. It'll be 15 minutes long. It'll be a firm 3 minutes.
8:05.
What was that?
I'm stuck in the clerk.
I just stopped. Sorry.
Yep.
So if you could just.
Great
again,
cash,
limit to
homie.
15 minutes. In a firm 3 minutes. So if you'd like to start there, go right ahead.
So the first point I wanted to make regarding the audit, sorry to bring it back up again, I know it's contentious. Some folks have said that it's only a matter of putting through the paperwork, the RFP process. So all you need is people that know how to do that process. The reality is that committee will be setting the scope of that audit as well. So it is important who is on that committee. And that's going to be my only comment there. I also happen to know, because I had reached out to Mr. Scollins to be one of the two that the primary person the chair would pick. I know Mr. McCarthy has already picked his two. It wasn't me. He picked two other people. So those people are already chosen. So the only two left to be chosen are the two people from the petitioner's side, if you will. People have said that they want to move this along. We've already had the discussion about a secretary and sending ballots out and all the faults and that. May I just suggest that Mr. McCarthy, when you meet with him or when you reach out to him, if you could suggest to him, have him hold a meeting, put the onus, I think, Rita, if I can call you up, you think Kathleen would be willing to take some lead on this. Or if it's not her, I'll do it myself. But if you can have Mr. McCarthy put it on Kathleen or whoever, that wants to represent the committee, to reach out to all the petitioners, to reach out, have those folks reach out to whoever else they want to, be on the ballot, if you will, to be those people, the two people chosen. Have Mr. McCarthy call a meeting, bring all those people together, have the people that want to be among the two stand up, raise their hand, whatever. The people that would vote would see them all there, see their choices, maybe even give them an opportunity to speak why they should be chosen and conduct the vote. It can all be done in one night, and then we can move on to forming the committee and getting the ball rolling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And those are good ideas. Thank you.
Well, his ideas are okay.
Peter Hennessy, Sumner Street. I'm going to be very short here.
Amy, thanks for the gifted
I'd like
membership.
to thank Chief Rafferty.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the Canton Police Department, and I'd like to thank the members of the Select Board for everything that you do for the town, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh-oh. Pauline, right? Oh, no, this guy. There
Yeah,
he is.
going back and forth.
Mr. Chairman, I'm reading off my phone tonight.
Uh-oh.
Nicholas Corkery, 28 Old Coach Road. We
Had
are
your
lucky
kids,
to have such
had
a
your
well-run
wife.
police department select board and should support police department, select board, all municipal school departments in this town fully with whatever they need without hesitation, without question. Lastly, I just want to address something. There is no crisis in Canton. We are fortunate. It's an extremely well town. It's a great place to raise a family. We have AAA bond ratings. There's millions in commercial tax revenue. Low crime. Police are part of the community. It's
Come on,
a place that
man.
many people strive to come to. It's a great place. This notion that we're under some cloud, I believe, is not true. It's a happy community. There are things that need to be looked into as far as all places do whatever, but there's nothing terrible about this town. I heard Elise say, oh, I said the corruption word, and she giggled like it was funny. It's not funny. You guys do a hell of a.
Excuse me, he's talking.
You shouldn't have giggled.
Yeah.
Just like you said.
Don't cut him off because he's sticking up for the select board. It's okay. Don't cut him off. Excuse me. He's talking. He's saying all good things here.
We're going to bite Mike Lank when he sat here the other day when his police detail.
Excuse me, please.
It's
We're not
not.
going to get out of here.
But
excuse me. This is
Mr.
directed-
Chairman, though,
As a
but
plant.
I apologize for digressing.
thank you.
My point is, we are very fortunate to be here, and we thank you for all that you do, all you
Thank you.
guys. Everyone.
Charlie, okay? My name's Colleen O'Neill, and I am the co-owner with Jeffrey Farrington of F&F Power Equipment on Walpole Terrace. As you know, Jeff is a lifelong Canton resident whose ancestors have lived here since the early 1900s. His father worked at the Canton Fire Department for 45 years before retiring as lieutenant. Now, I want to give credit where credit is due, and thank you, Charlie Duty, for listening to my frustration and at F&F Power Equipment in Walpole Terrace a few weeks ago and this morning. The last select board meeting, I was shocked when you approved $7,000 of taxpayers' money to survey Walpole Terrace due to what you referred as a safety issue. I think you said that, John. For people unfamiliar with Walpole Terrace, I'd like to share some background. Walpole Terrace is directly off Walpole Street, right after the River Village condos, where that old Emerson Cummings manufacturing plant used to be. F&F Power Equipment, formerly Canton Power Equipment, is on the corner of Walpole Street and Walpole Terrace and has been operating there for over 30 years. Walpole Terrace, a private way, has 3 small houses in the back. In addition to the business, Jeff and I own 2 of the 3 houses. We essentially own 75% of the terrace. In 2011, Jeff purchased the business and renamed it to F&F Power Equipment, and I am the co-owner. The property was zoned as industrial, and there was always a dumpster for this business. Now, here's where the issue begins. As you all know, Officer Chuck Ray used to own a home on Walpole Street. That was until 13 years ago when he initiated a change with the town to have his address changed from Walpole Street to Walpole Terrace. He did this by changing his address to the back door of his house. When the town approved this change, they rezoned the area from industrial to residential, despite the fact our business was well established. And when the select board approved the zoning change, you approved spending taxpayer money to pave a dirt road that is now Officer Ray's new street address. The same street where the town of Canton approved $7,000 of taxpaying funds to survey this street, where we own 75% of the property. The land survey of Walpole Terrace is now put on hold after our meeting this morning at the town hall. Now, the 20 years of the land zoned for industrial, which allowed us to have a dumpster at F&F Power Equipment, was forced to be removed. After removing the dumpster, F&F began receiving numerous consecutive number citations from the Canton's building inspector, Ed Walsh, for alleged but unexplained code violations. And these were sent to us for years, and we would send back unpaid. Then Ed Walsh, accompanied by Officer Eric Wade, who recently retired, began showing up at F&F Power Equipment on Saturday when I worked there alone. It is no secret that Officer Wade has a reputation in this town as being a predator. Officer Wade would also show up alone, which made me feel extremely unsafe on my own property. On February 16, 2024, we sent an email to Ed Walsh's assistant requesting information on these so-called written complaints. We received an email response confirming that there were 0 written complaints against us. We also learned that Paul Close, who also worked for the fire department for many years and who owns a home on Walpole Street, is the one who has been complaining, and he has been complaining directly to you, Mr. Theodore, or his buddy, Paul McCarthy. He's complaining to somebody.
Time is up. Thank you.
Okay. That's just that.
Rita Lombardi. Since its acquisition by Jeff Farrington in
I'm gonna keep reading
2011,
it.
F&F Power
That's
Equipment has
awesome.
been subject to what can only be described as ongoing harassment by certain uniformed officials within the Canton community. Furthermore, it is
Nice
disheartening to
tactic.
note that Jeff's family ties to Canton. His father, John Farrington, a retired lieutenant after serving 45 years on the Canton Fire Department, along with Jeff's efforts to maintain a reputable business, have not shielded us from incessant fines and unwarranted scrutiny, particularly during the challenges posed by the pandemic. In summary, the persistent harassment and abuse of power by certain Canton officials has not only been detrimental to our business, but also reflective of a
Tactic.
larger systemic issue. Again, thank you, Mr. Judy and Mr. Theodore and Ed Walsh for sitting with Jeff and I this morning and hearing our frustration and concerns, and also for putting the land survey for Walpole Terrace on hold
We're now.
for now.
I also want to publicly apologize to all the residents who live on Walpole Street who I've approached and terrorized when they were just taking a stroll, walking their
Okay, whoa,
dogs.
whoa, 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 whoa. Excuse me. You had your 3 minutes, Rob. I'm sorry.
okay.
We can't go
Well,
back
I
and
just
forth.
wanna-
That's
I
okay. I'm
wanna-
sorry. No, this
So
is that.
Colleen-
Thank you. Is the 3 minutes up, Mike?
No, not yet.
Okay, then finish up,
So,
Rita.
look, I just want to say, you know,
Rita, finish your.
okay,
your
okay. It's just, you know, I didn't realize that when I asked a question last week about the $7,000 for the survey, which I was talking about the cost, that there was a deeper issue. And you know, this is why we need a police audit, because we have things going on where it's like we have people that we feel that are entitled, that we have townies that get special privileges, and then we have other people who live in the town that are treated differently, and we just want to be treated equally. And so the issues that the FNF Power, and I have been a customer of FNF Power for as long as they've been in business, and they are a wonderful small business. And I highly recommend anybody who has a power equipment to go and get their equipment serviced there by Jeff and Colleen. And we should be embracing small businesses, not putting them in jeopardy of going out of business, especially during a pandemic. By, you know, I understand Mr. Ed Walsh, in the last year, gave them 30 citations for $500 each. And that seems like, it seems like there's checks and balances that are missing in the system, because how could somebody show up on the property on a regular basis? And then with Eric Wade, who was a police officer, and we're paying Eric Wade to go and show up with citations. It makes no sense. We have to get smarter on the way we spend money and the way we treat people. And that's it.
Mike, is that 15?
They want to run out of there, don't they? Is that
One
15
more.
minutes?
One more.
They want to do this.
One more.
Once again,
Sorry.
how long does this have to continue? How long do people have to come up here and voice their concerns on deaf ears? I mean, honestly, I've lived in this town for a long time. I don't live here anymore, but I lived in this town for a long time. I know what goes on. I'm a townie. I've heard a lot. I know a lot. So does a lot of other people. They're talking. They're done. They've had enough.
That's so good.
Do something about it. Stand up and make a statement. Otherwise, you're complicit. You're involved. Unless you make a statement against all the things that have been implied. Do the right thing. Please. I got you, homie.
All right. Make a motion to adjourn at 8:02.
Yep. You know what
Second.
they want to do.
Motion
Run out
made
of
and
there.
seconded. All in favor?
Run out of there.
Meeting adjourned. What's this?
Whew. Hot and heated at the Canton Select Board meeting. Wow. Good stuff. I agree. I agree, Cubert. Speaking for hundreds who are terrified to speak up. Yeah, approve 5-0. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Yep, gotta go hit the bar. Hit that bar. Run to the waterfall, right? Yeah. Yep. So again, just to recap, you know, again, we have very important days coming up on Friday, coming up on Monday. Extremely important day on Monday. I don't know. Monday's going to be interesting. I have a very good feeling, and I have a very weird feeling about it too. And don't put it past that the Commonwealth might try to pull something here. So keep that in your back pocket too. But we all wish for the best, and we all hope for the best, and we all want the best. But I have a weird feeling something sneaky may happen. So don't be surprised if something sneaky happens. It's going to be a very interesting day on Monday. And again, be on your best behavior. The world is watching. If you're going to be out there, try to keep yourself in check. Don't approach Karen. Gifts are not what we need to be doing down there at this time. So hold back on that. If you want to give a gift, support Karen through her defense fund. I think Paul made a good point tonight. Dana made a good point. Tracy made a good point. The money that we see up there, a lot of that has been filtered through. It's gone. So we don't know when that tally goes down. So you're seeing the donations up there, but a lot of it has been spent. So if you want, please support Karen and by giving her a donation to her defense fund, and I'll drop it here. The link should come up. Support her through that defense fund, through that link right there. That's a straight link right straight to her defense. And if you can, support her through the virtual birthday card. Get them sent out to Tracy. They have the email on that stream that I dropped earlier, and get your submission in, because it would really be nice to see all of those. Okay, it's getting late here. It's 10:30 here on the East Coast. I cannot play the Microdots video because it has music in it, and I do not want to get demonetized. Oh, by the way, I just want to put this out there. Listen, I get it. I get it. I have all the little trolls that come over, and you're boring. That's the thing, that you're very boring because you're working to my schedule. So that tells me that you have no life. So it's a couple of trolls that like to come in and try to report my streams and get them demonetized. But the funny thing is, when I peel it, I get them all back on I get all the monetization back. So don't think that you're hurting me, because it's just going to come back. So your tactics are not working. You're a loser. You have no life because you're working off my schedule, and you're trying to make it a point to be here for all of my live streams. So you're a loser. You're a fucking loser. It's not going to work. And I don't care. I don't care about the $5 that I might make off this stream. All I care about is that I have multiple people in this room. We get to have this platform, and we get to talk about the things that we talk about here. And I will not stop. I will not stop. And I will continue to talk about corruption that is going on here in Massachusetts and across our nation. And I will continue to fight for people that need a platform. And again, I've always opened this up. If you need a platform, you can email me, reach out to me. If there's a problem in your town, city, whatever it is, if you smell corruption, come here on LTL. I will allow you my platform. It's not going to work. You're not going to shut me down. I'm going to continue to talk. I got a big voice. I got a big microphone, and I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about the $5 that I may lose off this stream if it gets demonetized. I don't care. That's not going to shut me down. I'm going to keep pounding away on this channel to grab in as many people and get them subscribed here to LTL. It will not stop. You won't stop me. You will not stop me. So anyway, I'm going to let everybody go. It's getting late here, 10:30 on the East Coast. Everybody have an amazing Thursday. And it's going to be an amazing Friday. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be there in person at the courthouse for Aiden's hearing and his release. But I will be there on Monday, and I'll have some supportive streams up here in the next couple of days as I get free time on my hands. And I will continue to bang the drum for Brockton High School. It's very important that you go and watch those streams. You need to see what's going on over there. And if you live in Brockton, go to your community meetings and speak out like these fine people here are doing in Canton. Support Brockton, get a solution, get it done. It's major fucking corruption over there. Major corruption. All right, I'm going to play the long intro tonight as the outro, and I will see everybody soon. I'll see everybody on Monday. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see everybody. It's going to be a hell of a day. It's going to be a long day. Pack a breakfast, pack a lunch. It's actually supposed to be nice weather. I think we're going to get 50-degree weather on Monday. So I'm really looking forward to it. All right, everybody, have a fantastic night. I'll see you all soon. And thank you so much for supporting LTL. I really, really do appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Everybody have a good night. Bye-bye.
Said it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life. I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Yeah, LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, unraveling the web of evil. No stone left unturned, we dive into the prime. Yeah, we digging up the dirt, bringing justice to the crime. LTL true crime, unveiling dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime, we going deep in the dark. Peeling back the layers, exposed the hidden mark. From the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime, go. We que live in the shine, but then I'm not talking about it in the soul. I could go catch in your boat. No pienso echarla. No pienso echarla. We gotta hit that. Yeah, we hit that, hit that. Gotta do what in the boats. Hey, I break down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. This is yeah, I break down true crime. I'm done with dark realities every time. Yeah, LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi. LTL true crime. We going deep in the dark. Yeah, peeling back the layers, expose the hidden mark. Oh yeah, from the streets to the alleys where the secrets lie. Getting into minds of the wicked, no alibi.
It makes absolutely no sense. That is the Commonwealth grasping at straws. If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck.
We have the 8 letters. We've seen them. We've read them. We are using them. The genie cannot be put back in the bottle.
Had your kids, had your wife,